In this video, we'll be taking a look at repetition in programs. Specifically, we'll see how to make loops that perform actions multiple times. So in programming, we usually call repetition looping or iteration. There are multiple types of loops available in Rust. The first one we'll take a look at is the loop keyword, which creates an infinite loop. And the second one we'll be looking at is called the while loop, and that creates a conditional loop. The infinite loop will go on forever until it encounters a situation where it breaks out of the loop, whereas the while loop will automatically check some condition, and then once that condition is met, the loop will terminate. So let's look at the infinite loop first. We'll take a look at the flowchart on the left. Here we have the program start, and then we assign the variable a to the value of 0. This variable is what we'll be using to determine whether or not the loop should continue. We then have a conditional statement. We check to see if a is equal to 5. In Rust, we use two equal signs to check if a value is equal to a variable. So if a is not equal to 5, we're going to print that value. We're going to increment that value, which just means add 1. Then we're going to check it again. If it's still not equal to 5, we'll then repeat the process. Once it is equal to 5, we'll end the program. So let's see how that looks in code. First, we make our variable. Notice that we set it to be mutable. We do that so we're able to change the value of a within the loop. That way we can eventually break out. If we don't do this, then the loop will go on forever until we manually kill the process. Next, we have the loop keyword and some curly braces. This creates a new block of code which will be executed each time the loop iterates. We then close the block using a closing curly brace. Within this block, we have our check if a is equal to 5, and that is here. So if a is equal to 5, we're going to break out of the loop. Remember, with if statements, it also creates a block that's enclosed within curly braces. So once this condition, a is equal to 5, evaluates to true, we're going to break out of the loop. Once we encounter a break statement, execution will automatically advance to just outside the loop and execute the next line. In this case, there are no more lines, so the program will terminate. However, if a is not equal to 5, for example, on the first iteration, it's equal to 0, so this will evaluate to false, and it won't be executed. That means execution will continue to after the curly brace, and then we'll print line with the value of a, as indicated in the flowchart. The next line, we'll increment a. In order to do that, we assign a the value of a plus 1. So all we're doing is increasing a by 1. Next, once the end of the loop block is encountered, we then return back to the beginning and perform the same thing again. So we'll do the check. If it's false, we'll go here again, execute this, increase the value. It'll then be 2 by this point. Go again, and it repeats until a is finally equal to 5, in which case we break, and then, as previously stated, we exit the loop. Now let's take a look at a while loop. We're using the same program for the flowchart, so let's just jump right into the code. First, we have a equal to 0. Just as with the previous program, we're using a mutable a because we're going to be changing it on each iteration of the loop. Next, we have the while keyword. The while keyword creates a loop based on a condition. In this case, the condition we're checking is to see if a is not equal to 5. In Rust, an exclamation point followed by an equal sign means check to see if not equal. In our particular case, a is equal to 0 at this moment, so this will evaluate to true since a is not 5. Since it evaluates to true, we will then enter the block of the while loop and begin execution of the code. So first, we print the value of a, as indicated by the println macro. Next, we increment a by reassigning a to itself plus 1. On the first iteration of the loop, a will be set to 1. Execution will then reach the end of the loop, return to the conditional check, and it'll be checked again. So on this iteration, a will be equal to 1, which is still not equal to 5. And so this will be true. We'll then enter into the loop again, perform the same thing. A will then increase to 2. 2 is still not equal to 5. And this will continue until finally a will be equal to 5 after adding plus 1 enough times. This will evaluate to false, and then the loop will exit. When the loop exits, there's no more code available, so then the program ends. To recap, repetition can be performed by using loops. There's the while loop, which has a condition that's checked on each iteration of the loop, and then there's the infinite loop, which requires the programmer to insert a statement to check to see whether or not the loop should be exited. Both types of loops can be terminated by using the break command.